Good morning, good morning. So, this is the Analytic Gardener coming back to you with another article that may be of interest to you. Of course, most of you who watch my channel are gardeners, homesteaders, farmers, and really are concerned about what's happening in our communities, anything that may be impacting or has the potential to impact your gardens and your food, your farms, that I just wanted to share what I was reading on. So, this article I read this morning, I thought may be of interest to you. So, we're just going to go through it very quickly, and then you make your determinations and your decisions as to what you would like to do moving forward. So, this is a New York Times article. It says EPA to stop collecting emissions data from polluters. The data from thousands of coal burning power plants, oil refineries, steel mills, and other industrial facilities is the country's most comprehensive way to track greenhouse gases. And this is an article by Maxine Jauslow on September 12, 2025. The Environmental Protection Agency moved on Friday to stop requiring thousands of polluting facilities to report the amount of heat trapping greenhouse gases that they release into the air. The EPA proposal would end requirements for thousands of coal burning power plants, oil refineries, steel mills, and other industrial facilities across the country. The government has been collecting this data since 2010, and it is a key tool in to track carbon dioxide, methane, and other gases that are driving climate change. The Friday announcement followed months of efforts by the Trump administration to systematically erase mentions of climate change from government websites while slashing federal funding for research on global warming. Alongside President Trump, EPA continues to live up to the promise of unleashing energy dominance that powers the American dream. Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator, said in a statement, "The greenhouse gas reporting program is nothing more than bureaucratic red tape." He added that ending the program could save American businesses up to $2.4 billion in compliance costs over the next decade. Critics said the proposal could hobble federal efforts to fight climate change, since the government cannot reduce emissions if it cannot track where they are coming from. With this move, they're taking away the practical and material capacity of the federal government to do the basic elements of climate policymaking, said Joseph Goffman, who led the EPA's Office of Air and Radiation during the Biden administration. For the past 15 years, the Greenhouse Gas Reporting Program has collected data from about 8,000 of the country's largest facilities. That information has helped guide numerous decisions on federal policy and has been shared with the United Nations, which has required industrialized nations to report their emissions as part of the global effort to curb climate change. In addition, private companies often rely on the program's data to demonstrate to investors that their efforts to cut greenhouse gases are working, and communities often use it to determine whether local facilities are releasing air pollution that threatens public health. The EPA proposal would not eliminate emissions reporting requirements for certain oil and gas facilities, such as pipelines that transport natural gas. That's because those reports were required by Congress as a part of the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act. Instead, the EPA is proposing to allow those specific oil and gas facilities to postpone emissions reporting until 2034. Congressional Republicans already delayed a related requirement for the facilities to pay a fee on their methane emissions until 2034. Carrie Jenks, executive director of the Environmental and Law Energy Program at the Harvard Law School, said the data had shown that many large oil and gas companies were reducing their emissions of methane, a powerful greenhouse gas that is roughly 80 times more effective than carbon dioxide at trapping heat in the atmosphere in the short term. Not having the government verify this data is hard, but there could still be some voluntary efforts to collect it by companies and states, Ms. Jenks said. Dustin Meyer, Senior Vice President of Policy, Economics, and Regulatory Affairs at the American Petroleum Institute, a trade group, said in a statement that the oil and gas industry has a long track record of reporting greenhouse gas emissions to a variety of stakeholders, and we remain committed to doing so in a transparent and accurate way. The proposal to end the greenhouse gas reporting program injects uncertainty into a different program that is favored by the Trump administration and the fossil fuel industry. tax credits for companies that capture and bury their carbon emissions. To qualify for those generous tax credits, companies must submit their emissions data to the EPA. The proposal follows a rapid fire series of steps by the Trump administration to weaken or dismantle environmental protections. In July, the EPA moved to repeal the scientific finding that underpins the government's legal authority to combat climate change. And in recent weeks, the White House has directed a half dozen agencies to thwart the country's offshore wind industry, a key source of emissions free electricity. Under the 2015 Paris Accord, the agreement among nations to combat climate change, the United Nations has required that all developed countries provide data on their domestic emissions each year. But the United States missed an April deadline to submit this data, and Mr. Trump began the year-long process of withdrawing from the Paris Pact on his first day back in office. In addition, the Trump administration has asked NASA to decommission and possibly destroy two satellites that measure greenhouse gases from space. In contrast, in July, Europe's first carbon tracking satellite launched with the goal of capturing more granular emissions data. After the EPA proposal is published in the Federal Register, the EPA will solicit public comments for 47 days. Then the agency will finalize the proposal, likely within the next year. Okay, so that is the article. And again, if you are so inclined to do anything about it, if you want to make a comment, it does say that the EPA will publish this in the Federal Register, which anything that is trying to become law must go in the Federal Register, and that they will solicit public comments for 47 days. So there will be a 47-day comment period where the public, anyone who wants to say anything from anywhere, can just put a comment on that actual proposal to tell the EPA how they feel about the proposal, whether they like it, whether they don't, if they support it, if they don't. So just know there is a 47-day comment period to speak on this if this is something that you would like to talk about. Okay. Well, guys, that is going to be it for now. Just making you aware of what has happened with the EPA to stop collecting emissions data from polluters. It is up to you to decide what that means for you and your family, and if you would like to move forward when you have a chance for a comment. All right, that's going to be it for now, guys. Whether you live to grow or grow to live, let's just get to growing. Later, y'all.